It's a story about a person. One day, Sarah was sitting in class wondering why her brain felt so different from everyone else's. This could change everything you thought you knew. By the end, she'd uncover hidden connections no one taught her before. It was just a simple question about how we think and make decisions. I wanted to know why some people seem so smart while others struggle even with basic tasks. But that is not even the strangest part. And then something impossible happened. My friend told me this strange story. She had always felt stupid, but her best friend said it was just because no one explained intelligence properly. And then something impossible happened. She suddenly understood everything. But that is not even the strangest part. The next day, I went to a seminar about hidden connections in mental models and stumbled upon an idea so bizarre. It suggested there's more than meets the eye when we think. And then something impossible happened. This model explained intelligence through these invisible threads connecting all knowledge. And suddenly everything made sense, but that is not even the strangest part. The presenter showed how these connections could be learned, and anyone could become super smart if they just figured out those hidden pathways. And then something impossible happened again. The model worked. People who never thought well suddenly had great ideas. And it wasn't a trick or coincidence, this was real insight into human thinking. But that is not even the strangest part. Before we move forward, growth begins the moment we choose to think differently. Welcome to Cognitive Ladder. It started with a simple question about intelligence: what makes someone smart? But as I delved deeper into the topic of intelligence, the mental model nobody taught you, hidden connections, I found something strange. Something was off, but nobody could explain what. But the real story was buried much deeper. I had always thought that being intelligent meant having lots of knowledge and good problem-solving skills. Yet, this model suggested there were hidden connections we didn't see, connections between emotions and decision-making processes. It made sense in a way I couldn't ignore, but something felt wrong about it too. Something was off. But the real story was buried much deeper. The more I read through these models, the more inconsistencies popped up. One model suggested that certain emotional triggers could significantly affect our decisions. Another said people with high IQs often struggled in social situations due to overthinking every little detail. But something felt off about it all. I tried explaining these models to friends, but they seemed skeptical too. They pointed out the strange examples. Something was off. But the real story was buried. It started with a simple question about intelligence. How do we really measure it? But as I dug deeper into the mental model nobody taught you, hidden connections, I found something strange. People usually talk about IQ tests and how they work. You know, numbers and scores that supposedly tell us everything. But what if there's more to intelligence than just a few questions on paper? I read studies showing patterns in brain activity linked to creativity and problem solving. It was fascinating but didn't quite fit together for me. Wait, something here does not add up. I kept thinking, how can we measure such complex ideas with simple tests? But then came the real shocker: hidden connections between different types of intelligence. But here is where things get strange. Researchers found that emotional and social intelligence are just as important as logical or analytical skills. Yet these factors were often ignored in traditional IQ assessments. Wait, something here does not add up. These findings suggested a more holistic view, but it was hard to reconcile with the rigid tests most people took for granted. But first, a disturbing realization hit me: if we can't accurately measure emotional intelligence and social awareness, how well do our current methods truly evaluate overall intellect? Wait, something here does not add up. And then the truth was finally revealed. And it was far worse than anyone expected. It started as a simple question about intelligence, the mental model nobody taught you, hidden connections, but what followed wasn't just an answer, it changed everything. It turned our understanding of intelligence on its head and left us all in shock. The mind model we thought was solid? A lie built on sand. Hidden connections between seemingly unrelated concepts? They were the key to unlocking genius-level insight. But the real revelation came when we discovered that these hidden connections weren't just theoretical, they could transform lives, careers, even entire industries overnight. Imagine a world where every problem has unsubscribed now. The next part drops very soon. Elegant solution waiting to be uncovered. A world where everyone can access and apply deep intelligence effortlessly. That's what this mind model promised us. And it didn't stop there. Every person who embraced these connections saw their potential skyrocket in ways no one could have predicted. But the most shocking part? The hidden connections weren't just powerful, they were free to discover, open for anyone willing to peel back the layers of complexity and see beyond what's obvious. Remember what we said at the very beginning. And there is something else nobody talks about. Stop. What comes next changes everything. Intelligence isn't just about solving puzzles or getting good grades. It's so much deeper than that. And there is another layer to it. Stop. Your thoughts can change your reality in ways you never imagined. You see, intelligence has this hidden connection with emotions and intuition. We often ignore our feelings because we think they're not logical enough. But what if those feelings are guiding us? What comes next changes everything. And then there's the idea of adaptability, being able to pivot when circumstances change. It's stop. This might sound strange, but our ability to learn and grow is just as important as what we already know. There are also these little moments where your mind seems to work on its own. And there is something else nobody talks about. Stop. What comes next changes everything. And here's the shocking part, intelligence isn't just about being smart, it's also about kindness and empathy. It's how you treat others, your willingness to help, even in small ways. One small change in thinking. That is all it takes. Start today. One question remains. The most important one of all. Don't miss the next episode, it reveals everything. The next episode goes even deeper. Subscribe so you don't miss it.